What's going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Florida Prison Talk. I'm your host, Easy Win. And for this episode right here, I'm in my truck right now taking a break during the day, just kind of like impromptu in a way. For this episode right here, I'm going to speak on the deadliest gang in the U.S. prison system. I'm talking about state, federal, everything. I know you guys thinking that, and I'm not thinking about the Bloods, Crips, the most brutal and deadliest gang, in my opinion, from what I've read and stuff. Like I said, I know some people have been there. They can elaborate more. But in my opinion, and from stuff I've read and from other YouTubers and stuff, and most importantly from one of my uncles that did 12 years in the feds, the most deadliest gang, in my opinion, is the ABs, the Aryan Brotherhood, or the Aryan Nation, is the deadliest gang, in my opinion. I read a lot of books from the ABs, and also a lot of books that was about ABs, especially the Hot House. But the ABs are the most deadliest gang. The reason why I think they're the most deadliest gang is because of what they're willing to do to themselves, to their own gang. If their own gang violates, the stuff they are willing to do to members of their own gang is what's so crazy about them. These guys just don't try to hit you up to remove you off the yard. They try to remove you from earth, period. They go for the kill. They do not play all that, let's stab them up and teach them a lesson. The lesson is death. They got a motto like blood in, blood out. You almost got to go through hell and high water to even become a member of the ABs. You basically got to kill somebody to become a member of the ABs. You basically got to kill somebody, or a real brutal stabbing to become a member of these guys. But the stabbings they do to their own people, they cut heads off. The stabbings they do to their own gang for violating. Their politics are strict. These guys have strict politics, I'm telling you. Everything I'm telling y'all is facts. Y'all can check all of this stuff out. These guys have very, very strict politics. If you in the ABs and that AB member tell you to go kill this dude in this other organization, I don't care if you stabbed this man to his last breath and he survived. If he survived, you dead. I don't care if he was on life support and came back to life. I don't care if he was supposed to die. If he did not die, now your name is in what they call the hat. You gotta go. But I'm gonna tell you about a specific AB member that I've done a lot of research on. A specific AB member that is one of the most infamous, and he was a leader, or he could be one of the most famous, depending on who you talk to, members ever. And a lot of you guys have heard of this guy. His name is Thomas Silverstein. Thomas Silverstein just died last year in May. Thomas Silverstein at the time he died, he had already been in the prison system for 42 years. 36 of those years was in solitary confinement. He only had 6 years in general population. He had 4 murder in prisons that he was convicted of. It's no telling how many other murder in prisons he has done. And let me tell you how brutal these guys are. Let me tell you how brutal they are. One of those murders in prison, I think it might have been his first one, was a guy named Danny Atwell. He was a fellow AB member. It was one of his own. They wanted him, or he was at least a fellow white. They wanted him to smuggle drugs in. They wanted him to smuggle heroin into the prison. He refused. Thomas Silverstein killed him. This man is very brutal. 36 years in solitary confinement, spent time at ADX Florence. Well, anyway, before ADX Florence came, after that murder, they transferred this guy to USP Marion. They transferred him to USP Marion, and they have the ABs, their biggest rival in the federal prison system. Their biggest rival is the DC Blacks. That's a gang out of DC. Now, keep in mind, the DC Blacks didn't give themselves that name. The BOP gave them that name. The prison system gave them that name, and they just went with it, the DC Blacks. The DC Blacks and the Aryan Nation hate each other. They both have killed a number of people on each side. The DC Blacks have killed a lot of Aryan Nation. The Aryan Nation have killed a lot of DC Blacks. But for this episode right here, I'm going to talk about how Thomas Silverstein, he killed Danny Atwell, who was a fellow white, for not bringing drugs in. Then he ended up killing a DC Black member named Robert Chappelle. He swore he didn't do it. He killed Robert Chappelle. He's a DC Black. Well, while in Marion, another DC black named Raymond Cadillac Smith, he was the leader of the DC blacks. He gets transferred to USP Marion, the control unit. That's when they send the worst of the worst. The worst of the worst. I think this was before the ADX was built, matter of fact. Or the ADX might have just been built, but this was like the last stop, basically, where the worst of the worst inmates go. When they bring Raymond Cadillac Smith on that same cell block as doggone Thomas Silverstein. So you got ABs on this cell block and you got DC blacks on the same cell block. From the moment Cadillac Smith got there, he told Thomas Silverstein, "I'ma kill you. I'ma kill you." Because he killed his boy Robert Chappelle. They talking through the bars. These guys only get moved in groups with their own. They don't go out there at the same time when they go to the showers and they go to rec or whatever in the cage. Cadillac Smith kept telling Thomas Silverstein, "I'ma kill you, man. I'ma kill you. I'ma kill you, man." Next thing you know, they let Cadillac Smith out to the showers. The guards had a lot to do with this. I'm gonna get into that. The guards had a lot to do with this. They let Cadillac Smith out into the showers. It was already 2 AB members out there in the rec yard, in the rec cage. They was already out there. Somehow, coincidentally, when Cadillac Smith came out the showers, the 2 AB members came out of the rec yard. They seen Cadillac. These guys are straight meticulous. These guys are convicts. They bring weapons wherever they at. No matter if another prisoner can't get to them or not, they always stay with weapons. Cadillac Smith was bringing doggone knives to the shower every time he was bringing shanks. But if somebody get the jump on you, it don't fucking matter. These guys come out the shower. Thomas Silverstein, another white guy, another white AB. They caught Cadillac Smith come out the shower. They killed him. They stabbed him to death. They drug him up and down the cell block. They stopped in front of the other DC black cells and kept stabbing him, saying, "Yeah, nigga, this is gonna happen to you next." Imagine being in a cell and you got these guys out here stabbing your homeboy and you can't even do nothing about it. They got him going up and down the cell block, dragging him, stopping in front of different black cells, stabbing him up. He's dead. Bringing in front of, "You're next, nigga, you're next, nigga." And of course the blacks are saying back the C word and stuff like that. The black fighters say, "Ooh, wait till I get to you." Stabbed him up. Stabbed him like dozens and dozens of times. Cadillac Smith is dead. These 2 guys got to him. The guards had something to do with it. The guards never got charged. You gotta remember, where they was at is the country. It's hillbilly. A lot of the guards there are Klansmen. They redneck. They down for the cause with the whites. Just like I would assume if you go to some place where majority of the guards is blacks, the blacks is probably down for the cause also, you know? But Thomas Silverstein, like I said, this man was a very, very brutal inmate, especially for the stuff he done with his own. I got some footnotes here. He killed Danny Atwell, Cadillac Smith, and he had been trying to kill him. And let me tell you this right here. This is what I forgot to tell you. Thomas Silverstein even killed a guard named Merle Klutz. Merle Klutz was a guard at USP Marion also, if I'm not mistaken. Thomas Silverstein killed this guy. Let me tell you how he killed him. He was getting transferred. Somehow they said he pulled a rouse to get Klutz in front of him. Now Klutz is walking in front of him. You got Thomas Silverstein, and then you got guards behind him. You get what I'm saying? That's how I was put in the write-up. Well, anyway, when he was getting transferred to wherever he was getting transferred to, like I said, these guys go out there single-handed, just them. He stopped at a cell. Some dude named Gomez, G-O-M-E-T-Z, stopped at the cell. And when he stopped at the cell, he picked up a key, a handcuff key from the inmate. He stopped, got the key, unlocked the key, got his knife out, and stabbed the guard several dozen times. He said the guard was harassing him. The guard was messing with his food. The guard just kept bullying him and stuff like that. And this is how you know that this guy really doesn't discriminate, because this guard was white. Now, I understand if the guard was black and he was like, yeah, the guard, he kept messing with me. I'm like, okay, he's trying to justify it. He killed the guard because he was black. That guard wasn't messing with him. That's probably what people would think. But this guard was white. Thomas Silverstein is white. He's down for the pride, white. And that's how you know he don't discriminate. The guard was messing with him, so he killed him. It was just that simple. But let me tell you something about that. The story, the plot thickens. That same day, when he killed that guard, Merle Klutz, another AB member named Clayton Fountain killed another guard a few hours later in the same prison because he didn't want Thomas Silverstein to have one up on him. This is going to be part 1 of the Aryan Brotherhood. The same day that Thomas Silverstein killed Klutz, inmate Clayton Fountain killed another guard a few hours later because he did not want Thomas Silverstein to have one up on him. I can't make this shit up, y'all. This is crazy. But that was just a brief little thing about the Aryan Brotherhood. I've always been interested in that gang for some reason, man. They started in California in like the 60s and the 70s because they were being oppressed and stuff like that. And then the numbers just multiplied, man. They became brutal. And listen, another quick fact before I end. They're like one of the smallest gangs, man. They're like one of the smallest gangs. But they have the most brutal people. They're not watered down with numbers. All their numbers are official. They got 10 members in that gang, that's 10 killers. They got 100 members in that gang, they got 100 killers in that gang. It's not 100 members and maybe 50 killers. These guys are just brutal, man. But listen, man, I appreciate y'all tuning in, man. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. I'm your host, Easy Win. Florida Prison Talk. I'm out.